Before we start the story, let me know in the comments how you liked it and where you're watching from. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe and share a real incident from your own life that relates to this story. The comment with the most likes will be turned into the next story. So, Jason didn't even make it to the elevator before he heard the laughter. Not loud, not cruel, just dismissive. The kind that lands softly but still punches you right in the gut. He kept walking anyway, shoulders tight, jaw clenched, pretending it didn't matter. Yeah, right, it mattered. A lot. 30 minutes ago, he'd been sitting across from the most intimidating woman he'd ever seen. CEO, billionaire, calm as hell, not a single wasted movement. And him? He'd stumbled through answers like a guy who'd shown up to the wrong damn building. He pushed through the glass doors of the skyscraper and stepped outside. The city air hit him cold and sharp. Good. He needed something real, something that didn't feel like polished floors and silent judgment. Jason adjusted the strap of his worn messenger bag and exhaled slowly. Failed. Again. He didn't need to replay it, but his brain did it anyway. "So, Jason," she'd said, fingers folded neatly on the table, eyes steady. "There's a 2-year gap in your resume. Care to explain?" He'd frozen for half a second too long. That half second killed people in interviews. "My wife passed," he'd said finally. Straight up. No rehearsed line, just the truth. "I stayed home with my son." She hadn't reacted. Not even a blink. Just nodded, like she was filing it away in some internal database. "And now?" she'd asked. "Now I need a job," he'd replied. Too honest. Damn it. The silence after that had been brutal. She'd thanked him for coming in. Professional, polite, final. That was it. Jason reached the curb and stopped, staring at the traffic like he might just step into it. Not because he wanted to die. Hell no. Because he was tired. Bone tired. Tired of rejection emails. Tired of pretending he wasn't terrified about rent. Tired of smiling for his 6-year-old like everything was fine. He pulled his phone from his pocket. One new notification. From daycare. His stomach dropped instantly. He opened it. "Hi, Jason. Just a reminder that last month's balance is still outstanding. Please let us know when we can expect payment." He let out a shaky laugh. "Of course. Perfect timing." "Yeah," he muttered to himself. "Right after I land a miracle job." He shoved the phone back into his pocket and turned away from the building. He didn't want to look at it anymore. Didn't want to think about the woman upstairs who probably already forgot his name. Then, Jason, his name, spoken clearly, urgently. He stopped. That didn't happen. Not in real life. CEOs didn't chase failed interviewees down the street. He turned anyway. The woman from the interview was standing just outside the building, heels clicking against the concrete, her blazer slightly undone like she'd rushed. Her assistant hovered a few steps behind, clearly panicking. "Jason," she said again, catching her breath. "Please, wait." People walked past them, glancing, curious. Jason just stood there, confused as hell. He said. "Did I forget something?" She shook her head quickly. "No, you didn't forget anything. Then why the hell was she here?" She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I need to talk to you, right now." Jason blinked. "About what?" She looked at him for a long second, really looked at him, not like an interviewer. Like a person trying to decide something big. "I think," she said slowly, "we may have made a mistake." His chest tightened. Hope flared before he could stop it. Dangerous thing, hope. He crossed his arms, more defensive than he meant to be. "With all due respect," he said, "you already made it pretty clear how that interview went." She didn't deny it. Instead, she said something that completely threw him off. "That gap in your resume?" she said. "It's not a weakness. It's the reason I can't stop thinking about you." Jason stared at her, heart pounding. "What?" She took a breath. "Can we talk somewhere quieter?" Jason hesitated. Every instinct screamed, "Don't trust this." But another voice, the desperate, exhausted one, whispered that walking away might haunt him forever. He nodded once. Okay. She let out a breath like she'd been holding it in. Good, she said, because if I'm right about you, this changes everything. They didn't go back inside the building. Jason was relieved about that. Stepping into that lobby again felt like walking back into a crime scene. Instead, she led him down the block to a small cafe tucked between a pharmacy and a nail salon. Nothing fancy. Slightly crooked sign, smelled like burnt coffee and sugar. Jason liked it instantly. She ordered first, black coffee, no sugar, no cream. Yeah, Jason muttered, that tracks. She gave him a quick look. What? Nothing, he said, just rich CEO energy. That actually made her smile, a real one too, not the corporate kind. For half a second she looked younger, less untouchable. He ordered cheap drip coffee, because of course he did. They sat at a corner table, the hum of background noise wrapped around them. Safer than silence. She folded her hands again. Same habit as in the interview. But now her shoulders were tense, like she wasn't totally sure how this was supposed to go. My name is Claire, she said. I should have started with that earlier. Jason, he replied. Still, she nodded. Jason. There was that pause again, the heavy one. You said we made a mistake, he said finally. I'm guessing you don't usually run after people you reject. No, she said. I really don't. Then why me? She looked down at her coffee like it might answer for her. Then she sighed. Because you weren't trying to impress me. Jason frowned. That's literally the point of an interview. Everyone else tried, she said. They all had perfect answers, perfect confidence, perfect lies. She looked back up at him. You didn't. So honesty's your thing now? No, she said. Resilience is. That word hit harder than he expected. You talked about your son, she continued. Not like a sob story, not like a selling point, just a fact. Like that choice was obvious. Jason swallowed. It was. I've interviewed over 3,000 people, Claire said. You're the only one who answered that question like it wasn't something to apologize for. He stared at the table. His hands were shaking slightly. He curled them into fists under the edge. Doesn't change the fact that I bombed the rest, he said. I froze, missed details, didn't sell myself. She leaned forward. You stayed calm while being judged by someone who controls your future. You didn't get defensive. You didn't lie. You didn't beg. He snorted. Trust me, I wanted to. But you didn't, she said. That tells me more than any resume ever could. Jason leaned back, confused as hell. So what are you saying? She hesitated. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked unsure. I'm saying, she said slowly, I'm not offering you the job you interviewed for. His chest dropped. There it was. Okay, he said, standing up. Then I don't really see. I'm offering you a different one. He froze. She kept going quickly, like she was afraid he'd walk away again. A role that doesn't exist yet, one I didn't realize I needed until you sat across from me. Jason sat back down, heart pounding. You're gonna need to explain that. Slowly. She nodded. I run a company worth billions. That means everyone around me tells me what they think I want to hear. I don't trust most of them. And you trust me? He asked. No, she said honestly. Not yet. He almost laughed. Then why? Because I think you're the kind of person who could be trusted, she said. And those are rare. Jason ran a hand through his hair. This was insane, completely insane. What's the catch? He asked. Claire met his eyes. The job will change your life. He let out a dry laugh. So will getting evicted. She didn't flinch. You'll be paid well. Enough that daycare emails won't ruin your day. That shut him up, she noticed. Of course she did. I wasn't supposed to know that, she said quietly. But when you walked away, you looked like someone who was about to lose more than just an interview. Jason exhaled slowly. You don't even know me. No, she agreed. But I want to. The words hung there, loaded, dangerous. Jason looked at her for a long moment. Whatever this is, he said, I don't have the luxury of guessing. She nodded. Then don't guess. She slid a card across the table. "Come to my office tomorrow morning," she said. "Not as a candidate, as a conversation." He stared at the card. Billionaire CEO. Personal number on the back. "This doesn't feel real," he said. Claire stood up. "It is." She paused, then added softly, "And Jason, you didn't fail that interview." She walked out, leaving him sitting there with cold coffee, a racing heart, and the terrifying feeling that his life had just tilted in a completely new direction. Jason barely slept that night, not because he was excited, okay, maybe a little, but mostly because his brain wouldn't shut the hell up. Every time he closed his eyes, his thoughts went straight to worst-case scenarios, scams, power games, misunderstandings, or worse, hope again. At 6:12 a.m., his son Ethan padded into his room in dinosaur pajamas and climbed onto the bed like it was a normal Tuesday. "Daddy," Ethan whispered, way too loud. "I'm hungry." Jason smiled despite everything. "Yeah, I figured." While Ethan ate cereal and talked nonstop about a dream involving a flying school bus and a shark, Jason stared at the business card on the counter. Claire's name, clean font, minimalist. The kind of card that screamed control. "You going to work today?" Ethan asked, milk on his upper lip. Jason hesitated. "Maybe." Ethan shrugged. "Okay." Kids were amazing like that. No pressure, no expectations, just acceptance. After daycare drop-off, Jason stood outside the skyscraper again. Same building, same doors, totally different feeling. Yesterday, he'd walked out defeated. Today, he walked in like someone who had no idea what the hell was coming. The receptionist smiled politely. "Mr. Cole, Miss Harper is expecting you." Of course she was. Claire's office was on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. City spread out like a map she owned. Jason felt small standing there. Again. She wasn't behind the desk this time. She was leaning against it, sleeves rolled up, hair pulled back in a loose tie. No blazer. More human. "Morning," she said. "Didn't think you'd actually call this a conversation," Jason said, glancing around. "This place screams interrogation." She smiled faintly. "Fair." She gestured to a couch instead of chairs. Another shift, intentional. "Before anything else," she said, sitting across from him, "I need to say something very clearly." Jason nodded. "Okay. This is not charity," she said. "I'm not hiring you because you're a single dad. I'm not fixing your life." "Good," he said. "Because that'd be weird," she huffed. "Agreed. I'm interested because you didn't perform," she continued. "You reacted. And how people react under pressure matters more to me than how they prepare." Jason leaned back. "So what exactly are you offering?" She clasped her hands. "I need someone close to me, not an assistant, not a yes person. Someone who sees what I miss, calls me out when I'm wrong. Someone who understands responsibility beyond profit margins." Jason frowned. "You already have people like that." "I have people who pretend to be," she said flatly. Silence settled between them. "You want honesty?" Jason asked. "Yes." "This sounds like a setup to get fired in 3 weeks." Claire didn't deny it. "It might be," he laughed. "Damn, at least you're consistent." She met his eyes. "I'll pay you for the risk." She slid a document across the table. Jason picked it up. His eyebrows shot up. "Is this a joke?" "No." The number made his chest tight. Rent, daycare, food, breathing room, all of it, right there on a piece of paper. "I don't even know what the job title is," he said. "Neither do I," Claire replied. "We'll figure it out together." That should have scared him more than it did. "What's the catch?" he asked again. She paused, longer this time. "You'll see things you won't like," she said. "You'll be uncomfortable, and you won't be invisible." Jason swallowed. "I've been invisible for years." "I know," she said softly. "That's part of why I ran after you." Something in her voice shifted. Not vulnerability exactly, but recognition. He stood up, document still in his hand, walked to the window, looked out at the city, thought of Ethan, thought of overdue bills, thought of pride and fear and the risk of trusting someone this powerful. "Can I ask you something personal?" he said without turning around. She nodded. "Go ahead. Why do you really need this?" Claire didn't answer right away. "Because," she said finally, "I built something massive, and somewhere along the way, I lost the ability to tell who's real." Jason turned back to her. "And you think I am?" "I think," she said, meeting his gaze, "you don't know how to fake it." He exhaled. "Okay," he said. "I'll do it." Her shoulders relaxed, just a fraction. "But," he added, "if this turns into something that hurts my kid, I'm gone. No notice." Claire nodded. "Fair." They shook hands. Not a power move, just two people making a deal that could wreck them both. As Jason walked out of the office, contract in hand, his phone buzzed. A text from daycare. "Ethan had a great morning today." Jason smiled. For the first time in a long while, the future didn't feel like a wall. It felt like a door. Jason learned two things on his first week. One, Claire Harper ran her company like a chessboard. Every move calculated, every smile measured. And two, she was completely surrounded by people who thought they were smarter than her and acted like she wasn't in the room. The second part pissed Jason off more than he expected. He sat in on meetings he technically wasn't supposed to be in. No title, no official role yet, just Jason. Which meant people ignored him, talked over him, pretended he was a consultant or a temp or some guy getting coffee, fine by him, until it wasn't. On Thursday, they were in a conference room arguing about layoffs, not small ones, hundreds of people, entire departments. "We trimmed 10% now," one guy in a gray suit said, tapping a chart, and the market reacts positively. "Stock jumps. Simple." Jason glanced at Claire. Her face was neutral, too neutral. "And the people?" Jason asked before he could stop himself. Every head turned. Gray suit frowned. "Excuse me? The people you're cutting," Jason said. "What happens to them?" Silence. Claire leaned back slightly, watching him, not stopping him. Gray suit scoffed. "That's not our problem." Jason felt his jaw tighten. "Funny. Because their work built the numbers you're bragging about." Another exec rolled her eyes. "Look, we're not running a charity." Jason nodded. "Neither am I. But I've been on the other side of that spreadsheet. You don't just trim people. You wreck families." The room got tense, real fast. Gray suit looked at Claire. "Is he serious?" Claire didn't break eye contact with Jason. "Go on." Jason swallowed. "You want to protect stock? Fine. But don't pretend this is painless. At least own the damage." No one spoke. Finally, Claire said, "We'll revisit the numbers." The meeting ended awkwardly. Chairs scraped. People avoided Jason's eyes as they left. Claire stayed behind. "That was risky," she said. "Yeah," Jason replied. "I figured." She studied him. "Why do it?" Jason shrugged. "Because no one else was." That night, after he picked Ethan up, Jason's phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. Claire, dinner. Tomorrow. My place. We need to talk." He stared at the screen. This felt like crossing a line. Professional lines. Power lines. Hell, emotional ones. He typed back, "Jason, is this about the meeting?" 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. "Claire. Partly." He sighed. "Jason, okay. But this is still a job, right?" Claire, yes. He wasn't sure he believed that. But he didn't say it. Her place was ridiculous. Not flashy, just massive in that quiet, expensive way. Floor-to-ceiling windows again. Different view. Softer lighting. No assistants, no guards. Just her. She cooked, which surprised the hell out of him. "You don't have staff?" he asked, watching her move around the kitchen. "I do," she said. "I just don't like them seeing me like this." "Like what?" "Human." They ate at the counter. Casual. Normal. Almost dangerous in how normal it felt. "You embarrassed people today," she said between bites. "They deserved it." She smirked. "I agree." Jason paused. "Then why are you mad?" She met his eyes. "Because you're right. And that complicates things." "Because it costs money?" Because it costs control. There it was. She set her fork down. You don't treat me like a boss. No, Jason said. I treat you like someone making decisions that affect real people. Claire leaned back, studying him. That's exactly the problem. The air shifted. Not romantic, not yet. Something sharper. Something deeper. You know, she said quietly, everyone in my world wants something from me. Jason nodded. I know the feeling, just smaller stakes. What do you want? She asked. He didn't answer right away. Thought of Ethan, thought of stability, thought of dignity. I want to matter without having to beg, he said finally. Claire exhaled slowly. Damn. She stood up, walked to the window. The city lights reflected in the glass. You scare my board, she said. Jason laughed. Good. She turned back to him. You scare me too. That landed heavier than he expected. Not fear like danger, fear like change. They stood there, the space between them charged with something unspoken. Claire broke it first. I need you closer, she said. Jason raised an eyebrow. Careful how that sounds. She smiled faintly. I mean professionally. Uh-huh. She stepped closer anyway, not touching, just close enough that he could feel her presence. You're not just here to do a job anymore, she said. You're here because you see me. And that's rare. Jason swallowed. Claire. She held up a hand. I know. Lines. Boundaries. We'll figure them out. Her phone buzzed. She ignored it. So, she said, softer now, are you still in? Jason looked at her, at the city, at the chaos she lived in. Then he thought of Ethan's laugh that morning. Yeah, he said, I'm in. And somewhere deep down he knew this wasn't just about work anymore. The rumors started before Jason even realized he was part of one. At first it was subtle, conversations stopping when he walked into a room, people smiling a little too hard, the kind of energy that said, we're watching you. Claire noticed it too. Of course she did. She noticed everything. They think you're sleeping with me, she said one morning, way too casually, while scrolling through emails. Jason nearly choked on his coffee. Wow, that was a jump. She didn't look up. It's not. Power plus proximity always equals gossip. That's gross. She finally glanced at him. Welcome to my world. Jason leaned against her desk. You gonna shut it down? She considered it. If I deny it, it grows. If I confirm it, it explodes. So we ignore it? For now. For now, he repeated. That sounds temporary. She met his eyes. Everything is. That stuck with him longer than it should have. The pressure didn't just come from the office, it bled into everything. Board members questioning his role, execs pushing back harder in meetings, subtle tests, traps disguised as decisions. Jason handled them the only way he knew how, by not playing games. When an exec tried to get him to sign off on something shady, Jason didn't argue. He just asked Claire one question in private. Is this who you want to be? She stared at him for a long time. Then the deal mysteriously disappeared. Late nights became normal. Not the romantic kind, the exhausted, sitting on opposite sides of the room kind. Working, arguing, sometimes laughing when something ridiculous happened. One night Jason's phone buzzed. Daycare again. He stiffened. Claire noticed immediately. What's wrong? Ethan's sick, he said, already standing. Fever. Go, she said instantly. I'll come back. Go, she repeated. Now. He hesitated. I don't want this to look. I don't care how it looks, she said sharply. Your kid comes first. He nodded, grateful and shaken all at once. He didn't come back that night, or the next day, or the one after that. Ethan's fever turned into pneumonia. Hospital rooms, machines beeping, Jason sleeping in a chair, terrified and exhausted. On the third night, his phone buzzed again. Claire. He almost didn't answer. I didn't know if I should call, she said quietly, but you haven't replied to anything. My son's in the hospital, Jason said, voice tight. Silence. Then, what room? What? I'm coming. You don't have to. I know, she said. I want to. She showed up an hour later, No suit, no makeup, just a coat and tired eyes. She didn't say much, just sat with him, brought coffee, talked to the nurse like a normal person. At one point, Ethan stirred and whispered, "Daddy?" "I'm here, buddy," Jason said immediately. Claire watched that moment like it physically hurt her. When Ethan fell asleep again, she spoke softly. "You never stop being on, do you?" Jason shrugged. "That's the job." She nodded slowly. "I don't know how to do that." "Yeah," he said. "I figured." She didn't take offense, just looked thoughtful. When Ethan finally improved and they were discharged, Jason expected consequences. Missed meetings, missed decisions, maybe even resentment. None came. Instead, Claire handed him a revised contract. "What's this?" he asked. "Flexibility," she said. "Real flexibility. No pretending." He scanned it. "Remote days, emergency leave, no penalties. You didn't have to do this," he said. "I did," she replied. "Because if I want people to be loyal, I have to be human." Jason looked at her. Really looked at her. "And this?" he asked quietly. "Is this you being human?" She hesitated, then nodded. "I think so." The tension between them shifted again, deeper now, more dangerous. Because it wasn't just attraction or respect anymore, it was trust. And trust, Jason knew, was the one thing that could break them both if it went wrong. Things broke the week Jason stopped being invisible. It happened during a board meeting he wasn't technically supposed to lead. Claire was late, stuck in traffic apparently, or maybe avoiding something. Jason never asked. He just stepped in because no one else would. Big mistake, or the best one he'd made so far. They were discussing an acquisition, a smaller company, family-owned, profitable but barely. The plan was simple: buy them out, strip assets, shut it down in 18 months. Jason listened quietly for 10 minutes, long enough to understand the play, long enough to feel that familiar heat in his chest. "So," he said finally, leaning forward, "you're buying a company just to kill it?" A board member frowned. "That's a dramatic way to put it." "It's an accurate one," Jason replied. Another member chuckled. "Who exactly are you again?" Jason didn't blink. "Someone who reads past the profit column." That didn't go over well. "You're overstepping," the same guy snapped. "This isn't your lane." Jason nodded. "Then why does it feel like you're driving us straight into being the bad guys?" Silence. Heavy. Dangerous. The door opened. Claire walked in. She took one look at the room and knew. She always knew. "What did I miss?" she asked calmly. Jason didn't look at her. "They're about to destroy a company and call it strategy." The board member scoffed. "He's being emotional." Claire's eyes flicked to Jason. "Are you?" Jason finally met her gaze. "Yeah, because people work there." She turned back to the board. "Then we're not doing it," she said. The room erupted. Objections, projections, threats. Claire raised a hand, meeting adjourned. When they were alone, the silence was louder than the arguing had been. "That was reckless," Claire said. Jason exhaled. "I know. You embarrassed them. I know." She crossed her arms. "You forced my hand." Jason nodded again. "I did." She stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed. Short, sharp, almost relieved. "You're impossible," she said. "You hired me." "Yeah," she said softly. "I did." That night they didn't work late. They didn't argue. They didn't pretend nothing was happening. They stood in her office, city glowing outside, tension thick enough to choke on. "You're changing things," she said. "So are you," he replied. She stepped closer, then stopped. "This is where we either mess everything up," she said, "or we don't." Jason swallowed. "I'm not great at half measures. Neither am I." They didn't touch. Not yet. The restraint was worse than giving in. The fallout came fast. The board called an emergency session. Jason's name came up, a lot. Words like liability, distraction, influence. Claire listened, then did something no one expected. She told them the truth. "I brought him in because I don't trust you anymore," she said. "That landed like a bomb. If you force me to choose," she continued calmly, "I will." They backed off. For now. Jason found out later. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly. Claire looked tired, honest, exposed in a way she never was in public. Yes, she said. I did. That night, Jason sat in his car outside his apartment, staring at the dark windows. Ethan asleep inside. Safe. That mattered. Claire texted, "Come over. If you want." He stared at the message for a long time. This wasn't about attraction anymore. This was about lines that couldn't be uncrossed once stepped over. He typed back, "I want to, but not if it costs us everything." The reply came almost immediately. "I don't want to lose you." That scared him more than anything she'd said before. He drove over anyway. They didn't rush it. No dramatic kiss, no sweeping music moment. They sat on opposite ends of her couch, talking like two people standing at the edge of something huge. When she finally leaned in, it wasn't desperate. It was deliberate. Jason rested his forehead against hers and whispered, "If we do this, we do it right." Claire closed her eyes. "I don't know how." "Then we learn," he said. They kissed, slow, careful, real, and in that moment, both of them knew this wasn't the risky part. The risky part was what came next. Nothing exploded the next morning. No headlines, no leaked photos, no dramatic board revolt. Just sunlight through the windows and Claire standing in her kitchen, barefoot, staring at her phone like it might betray her at any second. Jason watched her from the doorway, coffee in hand. This felt weirdly normal, too normal almost. "Regret it?" he asked. She looked up. "No, me neither." They didn't say what they were talking about. They didn't have to. Jason left early to get Ethan ready for school. Real life didn't pause for billionaires or bad decisions. On the drive, he caught himself smiling at nothing. That scared him more than the late rent ever had. The office, however, was a different story. The tension had shifted, sharper, focused. People weren't whispering anymore. They were watching, waiting. Jason felt it the moment he stepped into the building. Claire called him into her office mid-morning. "We need to get ahead of this," she said, pacing. "They're going to force the issue." "Us?" "Everything," she replied. "Your role." "My authority." "The optics." Jason leaned against the desk. "So what's the plan?" She stopped pacing. "Transparency." He blinked. "That's new." "I know," she said, "but hiding you makes you look like a secret, and secrets get weaponized." Jason considered that. "You want to legitimize me." "I want to define you," she corrected. "Before they do." The announcement went out that afternoon. Jason Cole, Chief of Operations Oversight, made-up title, real power. The room went quiet when he walked into the next meeting. No pretending now, no ambiguity. The pushback was immediate. "This is inappropriate," one board member said. "The timing alone." "The timing is intentional," Claire replied. "We're evolving." Jason watched the room carefully, not reacting, learning. After the meeting, Claire shut the door and leaned back against it, exhausted. "That was war," she said. Jason nodded. "Yeah." She smiled faintly. "You okay?" He shrugged. "I've been poor and invisible. This is just loud." That night, Jason picked Ethan up and did homework at the kitchen table while Claire sat nearby, pretending not to listen. "Is she your boss?" Ethan asked suddenly. Jason froze. Claire did too. "Yeah," Jason said carefully. Ethan nodded. "She's nice." Claire's chest tightened. Later, after Ethan was asleep, Claire spoke quietly. "You didn't tell him." Jason shook his head. "He doesn't need that kind of confusion." She nodded. "I won't push." The board pushed instead. Anonymous leaks, articles questioning Claire's judgment, speculation about Jason. Claire held steady. Jason backed her up, publicly, privately, until the call came. Jason's daycare. Again. Different tone this time. "There's been concern," the director said carefully. "About your personal situation." Jason's blood went cold. "What concern?" "There were inquiries." He hung up and immediately called Claire. "They're coming after Ethan," he said. The silence on the other end was terrifying. "I didn't think they'd go that far," she said finally. Jason clenched his jaw. "I did." He showed up at her place that night, not calm, not careful. This ends now, he said. I won't let them touch him. Claire looked wrecked, furious, guilty. You're right, she said. I crossed a line. No, he replied. They did, but I'm not letting my kid be collateral damage. She nodded, tears threatening. Tell me what you need. Jason took a breath. We go public. Fully. No secrets. No room for spin. That puts you directly in the line of fire. I'm already there, he said. She stepped closer. And if this destroys me, Jason met her eyes, then it won't be because you hid. The press conference was scheduled for the next morning. Claire didn't sleep. Neither did Jason. Standing backstage, Jason felt the weight of everything he stood to lose. Claire reached for his hand. No hesitation now. We survive this, she said quietly. Or we don't. Jason squeezed her hand. Either way, we do it honest. They stepped into the lights together, and the world held its breath. The room went dead quiet. The second Claire stepped up to the podium, cameras clicked, lights burned. Jason stood a step behind her, not hiding, not center stage either, exactly where he wanted to be. Claire didn't start with numbers or strategy. That alone threw everyone off. I've been CEO of this company for 11 years, she said. And in that time, I've made decisions that helped this company grow, and some that hurt people I never met. Murmurs rippled through the room. Jason kept his eyes forward, heart pounding. Every instinct screamed to protect Ethan, to bolt, to take his kid and disappear. But he stayed. I brought Jason Cole into this company because I needed accountability, Claire continued. Not flattery, not fear. Accountability. A reporter raised a hand, but she ignored it. Yes, we're in a relationship, Claire said calmly. And no, that's not why he's here. The room exploded with noise, questions flying, accusations, speculation. Claire raised her hand again. You don't have to like it, but you will respect it. Jason stepped forward then. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried. I didn't ask for this, he said. I showed up for a job. That's it. The room stilled again. I'm a single dad, he continued. I care about my kid, my work, and the people whose lives are affected by decisions made in rooms like this. He glanced at the cameras. If that makes me inconvenient, so be it. The backlash was immediate. Stock dipped. Articles flared. Think pieces dissected Claire's leadership and Jason's presence like it was sport. The board tried one last time. They forced a vote. Claire called Jason before the meeting. If they win, I'm out, she said. Jason closed his eyes. I know. And you? I'll take Ethan and walk, he said. No regrets. The vote came in. They lost. Claire stepped down the same day. No dramatic escort, no security. Just her, walking out of the building she built. Jason met her at the door. You okay? He asked. She laughed weakly. Ask me in a year. They left together. No cameras this time. Months passed. Claire didn't disappear. She invested, quietly, intentionally. Smaller companies, ethical ones. Jason took a different role, consulting, flexible, present. Ethan adjusted, thrived. One afternoon, Jason watched Ethan play in the park while Claire sat beside him on a bench, sunglasses on, hair messy, smiling like someone who'd finally stopped performing. Do you miss it? Jason asked. She considered it. I miss the power, not the cost. He nodded. Fair. She leaned into him. Not a grand gesture, just comfortable. You know, she said, you never failed that interview. Jason smiled. Yeah, I know. Ethan ran up and grabbed Claire's hand. Push me? He asked. Claire laughed. Of course. Jason watched them, chest full in a way that still surprised him. They didn't win the world. They won something better, and for once, that was enough.